Hi, I'm Jim and I was retired. Boldin is a great DIY long-range retirement planner, but it doesn't currently show you the overall asset allocation for your retirement. Is it working on a solution to that problem? In this week's video, I will compare Boldin versus Quicken's approach to showing you asset allocation, and I'll explain why both of these programs fall short from my DIY retirement. Now, I've done several videos on Boldin, formerly known as New Retirement, including that one up there. And shortly after that one, Boldin began working on this asset allocation model. In its release notes, Boldin now promises that it will soon show you position level holdings for each of the positions you own across all of your accounts, whether it's connected or via statement uploads or entered manually. And they're starting to share this process with beta users. And if you are a beta user, you can get to it this way. You go to your assets and debts, and then under savings, you can see that little pie chart for the accounts that you have connected. I am a beta user of Boldin, but I normally don't connect the accounts. But I decided to connect 3 Schwab accounts, an IRA, a Roth IRA, and a brokerage account to get an early look at how they're doing this. And I am not impressed. This is the breakdown that they show for the Schwab IRA, with equity at 67% and fixed income at 32% and cash at 1% and other at 0. But here is how that looks in the asset allocation picture I currently get from the dashboard on my Quicken Classic software. And you can notice the greater detail in the pie chart. Quicken breaks out equity into large cap and small cap and international, rather than lumping it all into equity. Here is what Boldin says for my Roth IRA, which is invested in VTI and cash. It says nearly all assets are in equity, 1% is in cash. However, if you go to my Quicken account, you see a full breakdown, and you see that Quicken captures the $9,000 in cash that I have not yet redeployed into VTI. So the cash goes from 1 to nearly 25%. And again, rather than lumping everything into equity, Quicken breaks out that VTI into large cap, small cap, and even a sliver of international stock. Meanwhile, Quicken can also show me this overall asset allocation for all of my investment accounts on its dashboard. But this level of detail still doesn't go far enough because it doesn't include what we hold in our bank accounts. And that's why I download the data, as I'll explain at the end of this video. I asked Boldin AI about this difference in the Roth IRA accounts, and I shared actual amounts. It's only $35,000 account. Much of my tax-free savings is now in my Roth 401k. So this $35,000 is mostly VTI and cash. And I asked, explain the difference between what Boldin is doing and what Quicken did. Here was the answer. You're seeing this because our asset allocation view is currently at a high-level model, equity versus fixed income, and not the detailed position-by-position breakdown. And it does not yet capture individual holdings, allocations, and transactions from your connected accounts. And it says that there is not a clear published roadmap or timeline for this full deployment. And meanwhile, Quicken.com shows you this. Window users of Quicken Classic Premium or Deluxe level already start to have some features that start to rival Boldin with a lifetime planner, what-if tools, and tax planners. Unfortunately, I'm on a Mac, and so I don't have access to these levels. Comment below if you have the Windows version of Quicken and have compared these to what Boldin can do. That's why I download balances from Quicken into my own portfolio by buckets spreadsheet, which I've talked about before. And that gives me the overall asset allocation as well as the asset location in my 3 time buckets and my 3 tax buckets. This is the best snapshot of where my overall asset allocation is in the bucket strategy that I'm using. And I can't get this level of detail on either Boldin or Quicken. Now, I'll continue to test Boldin's asset allocation progress, but for now, it just falls far short of what you can do in Quicken. And even like Empower, I've used Empower, formerly Personal Capital, to do some modeling of overall asset allocation. Heck, even Schwab, if you connect accounts or load balances up from other accounts, Schwab can show you an overall asset allocation. I'll continue to test Boldin to see if this works, but I really wish they would give some higher priority to some of the things they used to have and no longer have, like a standalone Roth conversion calculator. You entered your AGI, adjusted gross income, for the current year, and it gave you what you can do in a Roth conversion that tax year. And I need something like that because Boldin is having a very difficult time tracking your current year tax status. You're entering your balances and it doesn't know what your true RMD is for an inherited IRA. It can't figure out how to track the $40,000 of income from the Roth 401k transaction I did in January. See that thing up there. And it overstates Social Security income because I'll turn those benefits on in December and I won't get them until January. I'll continue to use TurboTax with its what if scenario page, as well as other tax modeling before I pull the trigger on any more Roth conversions this year. But I wish Boldin would focus on some of those things rather than trying to match what you could already do in Quicken with a transaction tracker. Quicken is my spreadsheet of record for transactions for all of our accounts. It's got that mastered down and it is improving its overall asset allocation. I wish it would figure out a way of including bank accounts in your overall asset allocation as well. That way I could skip the downloading into my own spreadsheet. As I go forward, I may modify my bucket strategy as well to have one short-term bucket and one long-term bucket. I know several of you out there have done that. We're getting to a point where there is less difference between bucket 1 and bucket 2 and what I have for the long term. As Social Security kicks in 2027, look for a tweak for that. Hey, be sure to like, subscribe, and share this channel if you know others who are on a DIY retirement journey. And how about you? How are you tracking your overall asset allocation? Have you connected accounts in Boldin, and are you getting a better experience than I am? Let me know in the comments below. As always, I'll conclude with my standard warning. I am not a professional. I have no initials after my name, so take these as entertaining ideas from one educated DIY retiree to another. Always do your own due diligence and seek out a professional if you need one. Bye.